Good evening and welcome to the chair. The chair is an opportunity for you and I to interact and converse with leaders, influencers, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Tonight in the chair, I have Richard Bass, writer and producer. Richard, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm glad to be able to have you in the chair this evening. Richard, we've known each other for a minute, right?
Yeah.
I remember, like the first thing, you started producing was like it was like a relationship kind of play. It was like, or what would you describe it? I mean, it was like a Q&A, almost like tonight's conversation before tonight's conversation was even a thing. Talk a little bit about how you guys got into that um and what was even the thought process behind it.
Well, I think it started off at Ferris State University. It was myself and my sister Renisha Fluker now. I wanted to call her Simpkins, but Renisha Fluker. So it started out with us having conversations about doing things on campus as far as entertainment wise and relationship wise. And we actually did it was our first stage play at Ferris State University. That was in 2001, I believe. It was in 2001. That was called You Ain't No Different. So that's when we started. That's when we started doing the stage, and from there we just it just flourished into everything that we're doing now. I know I started with Renisha, then moved on, and I started doing some things myself, and then got into with my business partner, who's no longer with us, but we were business partners for 10 years. And we started off doing plays, and from plays we got off into doing movies, managing artists as far as singing, acting, modeling. So all forms of entertainment.
Okay, so it sounds like you really have kind of evolved over the years, but um, we kind of jumped the gun. Well, I kind of jumped the gun in the conversation. Kind of give us a little bit of a background on how you even got started with this.
Oh, well, like I said, that we can go back to 2001. That's when the plays weren't really a big thing. It was, but it wasn't. I started. I think that was right before Tyler Perry really hit the market as well. Um, I was watching a stage play called Mister Right Now by David E. Talbot, and that's who I kind of mirrored the different type of things that I wanted to do when it came down to being an entrepreneur, being a writer, and things based off of his stories. Because I really could relate and start to see some things dealing with. I like relationships, dealing with people, getting people to understand each other. So it started off watching his shows, and then your Tyler Perry came along, you know. But it started back in around 2001.
Okay. So how did you get the training, or was it just kind of like I was building it as I was going along? So kind of tell us, we'll share a little bit about how you came into being a playwright.
Well, yeah. It started. You know what? It started off for me, just going off of what I knew and what I seen and what I thought I knew. I can recall when we did our first stage play at Ferris State. I look at it now, I'm like, oh my God, because I pulled it up, found the old VHS cassette tape. Go figure VHS. But I found the VHS and popped it in a VCR, which I had to borrow a VCR because I didn't have one. But we're going back and watching it. I was cringing. I was cringing at like, wow. we did this, and oh my God, why did we do this? Oh my God, the lighting was like this. Oh, the mics is here. And so I became real technical. But what I also remember about that time is that when the students that came to see the play, when we did it at Fair State, students had told us that they were coming to make fun of it, but lives were actually changed, and from that stage play that we did. So when I look at it, I cringe, but at the same time, I go back and I see how many people gave their life over to God and how it changed people's lives. So I said, what I thought then was a mess was actually still a message in there, and people actually enjoyed it to the point that I heard that even after we left the school, people were still talking about it for a couple years after. So it made a deep impact. And that's what made me know that, okay, I'm going in the right direction.
Oh, are you in the business of creating what type of content? I don't know if you put yourself in a particular category, like Lecrae, he was like, look, I'm just a rapper. I just happen to be a Christian. So what kind of content are you creating? Are you creating Christian content, or what kind of content are you creating?
I like to. I don't like to put a label on it. I don't want to just say Christian content. I do uh, prefer to stay more clean than anything else. So there, I do have limitations of where I'll go and what I will do. So content such as dealing with like Halloween and the witches and warlocks and different things. That stuff there I won't touch. I have to draw a line. They have these Saw movie series and things. I don't watch them. Let alone can I? They ask me, well, why don't you do a horror film? No, no, thank you. Well, there's money in that. That's fine. So yeah. So I have a limit of where I'll go,
Okay.
and that would probably be it.
So where would you put your genre of movies and also plays that you've done?
Um, I think I would like to put it in the form of relationship building. So that's where I see myself more so going in the direction of relationships. Uh, we have some family movies as well, so dealing with real life situations and touching on subjects that some people might not really go in depth with talking about. You
Okay.
know.
So kind of like romantic, you would fall in the category, or if I was looking on Netflix to find you, I would find you in, romantic movies, or I would find you in rom-coms,
Mm.
romantic
Rom com,
comedies.
dramatic,
Um,
got a couple dramatic series.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So you know, t- it takes a lot to produce movies.
Yeah.
So how do you balance being innovative but staying practical in your business decisions?
I think one is having a team of people with you to help guide you, because I don't pretend to know everything myself. So for me, it's having my team that's right beside me when we're discussing, okay, what do we want to show? What don't we want to show? Is this good enough for the audience? And how do we make this make sense? And can people be inspired? And that's me and my business partner now. Like, can people be inspired by this? Because we're a lot the same when it comes down to it. We want to still have people inspired, even though we're entertaining. So it's a fine line that we will go, but we want to make sure we hit every point of it, being innovative, but being able to uh, create and entertain and inspire, if that makes sense.
You're a family man,
Mhm.
you know. How do you balance that work life home balance? How do you balance that?
Truthfully, I'm still learning. I'm a lot better now than I was when I first started. because before I was running like, okay, we got to get this done. I'm getting this done. I'm doing this for us. You got to tell my wife, you got to understand, I'm just doing this for us. So it's going to take a lot of my time, but understand. But at the same time, once I started to balance that out, I said, okay, I did this for us, but now I'm really doing for us now. So when I said, let's take a family vacation, let's go here. This is just our time. We would do a trip with the kids, and then we would do a trip with just me and Tamika, my wife. You know, so I had to still balance that out to where now she's feeling appreciated. The kids are feeling appreciated as well, and they understand. But it took some time.
Yeah, I can echo that.
Yeah.
um, I like over the years, I have spent a lot of time on the road, um, building and moving and shifting things. And um, I think I sat back one day and I was, just thinking about what I would do in my summers because my 9 to 5 job, um, in addition to ministry or in addition to business aspirations, all these things are pulling me away from home.
Hmm.
Um, and I started looking at, man, how much time I'm actually spending away versus at home.
Yeah.
And it really started, then I started hearing this slogan most recently, family over everything.
Hmm.
And that really has been resonating with me, as far as, really trying to make sure that my family basically, regardless of what I'm doing, regardless of what I think is a great work or what have you, that my family is getting that same quality of attention that I'm giving to other things. And so um, I just commend you on that because I know, like I said, I know that production work, um, it takes a long time. Being a director, it takes time. You know,
Yeah.
it's equal. I would say it. I would dare say it's equal to when somebody is putting together an album, as a singer. Because you have all that studio time, then you have all of that production time, then you have all of the back end of actually editing and all the rest of those things that come
Yeah.
into it. All those things are time consuming.
Yeah.
So what would be, one piece of advice that you could give those who are even viewing this, who are in that creative space, who really um really spend a lot of time in front of a screen or behind a camera or on the stage? What could be a piece of advice that you would give someone?
Take a second to breathe for you and your family. You have to find a way to add that in there. You have to make it your point to get it done. If you're good at what you do and you have a good team behind you, the work will get done. But you have to make sure that you set time aside to be able to have time for your family. You have to.
Hmm. I keep hearing you say have a good team behind you. How did you build your team, and where would you say a person could begin to start to build their own if they don't have one?
To be honest, the first I'm gonna say it's God that put it together. It really, really was God that put it together because when I tell you we're like family, we're like family, and we're to the point where team they say whether if I'm doing something wrong or if this is not good enough, we're building each other up. I don't have any yes men on our team. None of us are yes men. We're gonna say, hey, you're doing too much here. Why are you adding this? Why are you doing this? Pull back from here. Or what are you doing now? You're slacking up. So having people, and like I said, it was God that really put us together. My team, it started with me, my former business partner, Melissa Talbot, who passed away a few years ago. Um, she had friendships with a lot of people already. And I would say that she's one person that brought us all together in some type of way, whether they start off working as an actor to now we're my business partner Mike Jeffers. We're now business partners. From directing to producing to we got things we've written together. But it came from Melissa, and when I tell you that it was God that had brought us into the same room, and we did a playwright conference down in Myrtle Beach, and so it took going to Myrtle Beach for me to meet Melissa. And crazy enough, we talk about having that time with your family. I'm at this playwright conference in the beginning of December, and met Melissa there. I had my family with me because we were supposed to have did a family trip, but because I was at the conference the whole time, I'm like, well, Tamika, I can't really. We gonna go out to eat, but I can't really do anything because we have classes, we have this, we have that, we have this. But to have them there, so she understood. She was happy that the boys were able to go. But it took us going down to Myrtle Beach, and we had an assignment that we had to do where they put teams together, and Melissa just so happened to be on a team with me, and it was five of us. We were all working on this project. It was almost probably like 3 o'clock in the morning. And she said, almost remind me of back when we was in college days. And I heard the voice. I was standing by a window in the room. And I literally heard the voice of God tell me, uh, what if y'all start working together? 3 o'clock in the morning in that room. And after that moment, I'm like, huh, okay. Didn't really think nothing about it. When we got back to Detroit, she sat in my auditions for my now stage play that's out nationally that we recorded. And from that point, she sat in the auditions with me. And then she says, Richard, I want to come on and produce your show. And I said, huh, okay. How much is it going to cost? As she told me her price, I said, oh, okay. And figure out how to pay that. But long story short, it went from there to from one being on teams to us being business partners for over 10 years, and it started from, so you never know where things will start because from that moment, the things that I had wrote down, a vision, like a 10-year goal, when me and Tamika we got married in 2003. And I think I met Melissa in 2011, 2012. And from that point, everything, the goals that I had written down when I first started my company, I said I wanted to write, I wanted to do TV shows, I wanted to do music, I wanted to do movies, and didn't have a plan or knew how to do none of it. But before she died a couple years ago, I did everything that me and Tamika had wrote down when we first got married in 2003. So things that I didn't even know how to do has been done. And and that goes back to the whole thing with the question. I think I went around. That goes back to the whole thing with the question about your team. So it's nothing but God that actually put everything together. I didn't do interviews. I didn't say, "Hey, what do you do?" It's just organically got put together. Everybody can't have that, but if you can, it's a blessing.
Um, I see behind you all of the covers for a few of your plays. Um, what's been like the inspiration to those particular movies? Like, were they suggestions? Were they on like a list of different topics? And you know what, this is the direction I want to go. Were they inspired by like what's the inspiration behind your craft?
Well, Chocolate Kiss, I would say that was an inspiration Chocolate Kiss Part One came from Melissa and her then husband Nate Talbot, who's been one amazing editor for everything that we do, uh, and business partner Mike Jeffers. They were came up with an idea. She said, "I just want a simple love story." She said, "That's what she said. I just want a simple love story. I don't want no twists. I don't want no turns." She said, "I think about just the simple stuff." She said, "Richard, can you write it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can write it." So we sat down, came up with the concept, and just outlined it and went from there. And this is when I say it was a lot of heated arguments and things, because here it is as a writer, I'm like, okay, sensitive about everything I write. I write it. We sit down and have a meeting, and this is where I love the team that we built because they would say, "No, change this. No, do this. No." It's just those moments that I remember because it helps perfect me, and in my craft into the writing. So, Chocolate Kiss, that's how Chocolate Kiss started. Chocolate Kiss 2 was never really supposed to come about, but I felt the need to add on to the story and to elevate it. So that's why I wanted to keep telling the story because one thing I want to do as a writer, because sometimes people have a false perception of why someone is the way they are. So I like to dive deep into the psyche behind the individual, whether they're good, whether they're bad. So you don't just look at the outer exterior and come up with a concept of how you feel somebody out, so how you feel somebody is. But now you can understand whether good or bad. It's a show on Netflix called You, and as crazy as this guy is. He's a stalker. I think he's a killer. But you get into his psyche, you say, okay, well, I understand. I don't agree with it, but I understand why he is the way he is because he's been hurt. He's been this. He's been that. So I like to just dive deep in to bringing these stories out. So
Yeah. So you really bring up a good point. So you see sometimes one-offs like one movie, and then you're like, man, I hope they do a part two, and then you'll have one-offs and they'll come back with a sequel and was like, I wish they would have left that alone. Is it a gut feeling that you have when you say, you know what, this is the story in one had enough substance to attempt the two? Or like what really is kind of the thought process behind um doing a part two or even a part three from doing one?
um So I think sometimes it's a gut feeling. Some people purposefully write it that way. I know after we finished one, because of the way it ended, a lot of people were like, "Well, what happened with Dallas and Ashley? What really happened with them? Because I need to know, did they get married? Did they do this? Did they do that?" Because now they became invested with the characters. So when you see you have somebody invested with the character, now you make the decision, okay, do we just leave it like this, which it would be fine, or do we go ahead and just add on to this story? And which technically I did, but the reality of it is, and truth be told, a lot of people don't know, is that the part two that you see now that's out was not the original part two.
Oh,
Yeah, that's not the original part two.
okay.
So the original part two, our lead actress, after having conversations, she decided, and this happens, but she decided that she didn't want to do the film.
Oh,
So I had literally had everybody on board, had hair, makeup, I had our director of photography, I had our sound, had everybody on board. So
mm,
right when I was just going to scrap it all, lead actor Ed Donaldson, he was like, uh, he said, yeah, I don't think you need to scrap it because you still got 95% of the cast that's ready to do this, and I think he ended up using the scripture on me. I said, did you really use the scripture on me? you know, to I said, okay, and this is the very first time in my writing career that One of my partners, Tanja Ayers, she gave me a couple examples of what I could do, but had the whole script written that you see now that's out in 2 weeks.
Mm,
So change the whole story up. So technically, if I wanted to do a part three, the original part two can be a part three to Chocolate Kiss, or I could take it and make it a whole nother story by itself. I haven't made my mind up yet. So there is
okay.
another part that's written. That's complete.
Okay. Well, there's definitely a cliffhanger in two. So
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So
I personally would love to see a three. But if you could trade places with any other director or writer, um, who would it be and why?
hmm. Uh I don't know. Let me see. I thought about that when I seen it. There's so many that I like. I'm trying to think of female. She's a female. The one did director Scandal and all this. Um, um, it's right at the tip of my tongue too. But she's done so many different projects uh, that I'm just like I would really like to even shadow her. But her writing skill, her storytelling is just amazing. So that would be one individual uh that I would do. With How to Get Away with Murder, she did
Mm.
Grey's Anatomy. She has so many different shows and different things.
So I was just watching a YouTube short the other day, and they were interviewing Cat Williams, and they were like, "Cat," they were like, he was on with
Shannon.
Fallon.
Okay.
Who are you saying?
I'm about to say Shannon Sharp.
No, no, no. He was on with Fallon.
Okay.
He was like, it said that you bought a military base, and his statement was, you know, he said, well, you just do what you follow the script. You do what you see those who are in the field doing. He was like, Tyler Perry bought a military base, and he was like, Cat Williams buys a military base.
Hmm.
And he was like, are you producing movies? And he was like, not at the moment, but I do plan to shoot movies. Um, you have joined a consortium group, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So our group is called Collective Studios, and there's 12 different producers, writers, directors, some just entrepreneurs with their own businesses, and we've decided that hey, and number one, because there's people that's on the outside, there's other producers. We know several other producers, but we felt that we all gelled together to where it would not be any type of conflict or anything going on. So, we joined together. We was a discussion had last year around this time. We started looking for different buildings, looking for different places, and we had one that we thought that was really close to getting done, deal getting done, and that fell through. But we just kept meeting. So okay, we're gonna keep looking, um, and we came to this point where we are right now. Owners of the Collective Studios, where we have over 44 different sets that you can come film at. So, but it was just an idea because we, as filmmakers, always are looking for different places. We were literally driving from Detroit to an hour away to Flint to go film at a hospital because that was the closest thing that we had to making it look believable before we got our own hospital and our own studio. You know, same thing like if we wanted something that would open people's minds up to writing stories, because you don't really have access to jails or police stations or courtrooms, even some churches, so we have all that at the touch of our hands right now. So it's always a great thing. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. So, so just to make it clear, you guys have actually created your own studio. So, so, so independence, anybody who wants to create a movie, they could come to your studio and rent out space in order to produce.
The independent filmmakers, we podcasters. If you want to do shorts, if you want to do small skits, we've had Jack Funny come and do a couple skits here. So we've had rappers come and do rap videos and different things. So it's open for entertainment, period. So it's not just totally filmmakers, but we just wanted to open something up for creative minds to be able to use.
Do you all provide the back end as far as the cameras and the production side of things, or is it just basically a space that people can push in their own tech?
We have space. I mean, we have partners that have some of those equipments that can be rented out, but most people come with their own equipment. But if we have access to it, that probably can be done at a cost as well.
So, so you guys basically have created a space for individuals to really come in and and build something for themselves, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
When you think about spaces like this, I'm not for sure if they really exist in, what I'm saying, this is unique in this design. Um, I know that there are, like, places that are out there that are for social media, influencers. My family, we went to um outside of Grand Rapids, and it was strictly for, they had different stage rooms that you could go in and sit in a throne, or you wanted to be behind the bars, or you wanted to be in a kitchen, and you could take photos to get content,
Hmm.
but nothing to the scale of what you guys are doing. So um, when you told me about it, I was like, wow, that is huge. That's why I was referencing the whole Tyler Perry and the Cat Williams,
Yeah.
piece, because um, this undertaking, even for not just entrepreneurs, but for African Americans,
Yeah.
to venture off into something like this, to create a space for other creatives to come in to build content, that is so fantastic. Um, how can how can people find out about that space?
And you contact me, and I'll get you in contact with our booking agent, or call me so we can set a meeting up so you can come take a tour of the place to see how if you want to come film here.
As an entrepreneur, someone that is in your particular space of creating movies and production and writing, um, for a young man or woman who's in your space, um, what would be something that you could offer them, um, for aspiring people who want to start out in your field?
I would say just get connected. There's so many people that's out here uh, that's doing these type of things for real, for real. So you just have to get connected. When you see postings up, you go out to check some of them out. You might see somebody that said they're filming, they need an assistant. Get your feet wet and see. Okay, and if you don't like that one, don't let that be the last time you do it. You just got to find out where you fit in and what works for you. But you have to get out there and you have to do some work. You know. So the best thing to do is just keep your ear to the ground. Find out what's going on. Find out what's out there. get connected. You can look me up, and I'm usually posting different things, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Facebook, along with my business partners, um, to get out there. So you have to, yeah, be in a. It's more than being in the right place at the right time. You just gotta look for it. It's out there, and people are posting. Believe it or not.
What is the most unexpected lesson you've learned from failure?
The I think it would be to communicate, and not just communicate, but communicate effectively with your team. Um, the one thing that we had happen to us while filming was a lot of our footage had got lost. Almost a day and a is it I think probably a day and a half of footage that got lost when we were like almost done with the project. So we had to go back and refilm, re-rent some of the places that we had to get the footage that was lost. And I remember when our DIT, our data wrangler, put all the footage together. I was in the room when our hard drive had failed and hit the floor. And we, while they were filming, I never went to Melissa and said anything because I said, "Oh, if I go to her, it's just gonna throw everything off." I said, "We're gonna get this fixed." And I think probably for almost a few days until we had to make the decision that we had to just go back and redo everything. Uh, yeah, that was a. But I said to myself that because you have to know who you're working with. I said to myself, and I told her, I said, if I had to do it again, I would do it the same way. I said, because I know you. You have to know people that you're working with. So I knew that if I had told her then, it would have really threw her mind off to where she wasn't going to be able to complete anything else that needed to be complete. So what I learned in that is the fact that, yeah, you have to be able to communicate, because that was uh, a lot of money that we had to redo to get the
Sure
quality we
was.
look at now. You know,
Yeah.
but I it happened. But from that, we learned to get a better hard drive that doesn't just destroy once it hits the floor.
Mm.
But we learned so many small, valuable lessons in there because it was a lot of money. But communication is the biggest key in it all.
Richard, man, I thank you for coming to the chair tonight. I'm excited about the work that you've already produced, and I'm definitely excited about the journey that you're on. I look forward to seeing more projects coming. You said that, we talked kind of off camera about some things that you are aspiring to do by the end of 2025. You want to drop any?
I could drop on the fact that we do have a movie that we shot last year, Bad Day. That should be coming out sometime within the next few months. Then we have a couple projects, stage play that I wrote, Out of Bounds. We're looking to prayerfully get that shot before the end of the year. Um, and not just far as films. I would love to do my own stage play. I'm directing two stage plays, one in May and one in June. But I would still like to do my own before the end of the year. And I want to get a concert in, put together some artists from Detroit and do a kickback session type concert. So that's on my goals before the end of the year.
It sounds like, man, your plate is full. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming next. Um, for those of you all who are viewing, it is goodbye for now. But until next time, get out your chair and do something. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
One.